It's time for Windows Weekly. Everybody join Mary Jo Foley, Paul Thurrott, as we talk about the latest Windows news, including a way to hack your Windows phone to get apps for free. Merry Christmas!
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT. Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 290, recorded December 13th, 2012. Beer and cookies. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Ford, featuring Bliss, the blind spot information system with cross-traffic alert, and Active Park Assist. Check out these available features on the 2013 Ford Fusion and 2013 Ford Taurus, and learn more at ford.com/technology. And by Squarespace, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code Windows12. And don't forget to try out the newly launched developer platform for complete code control. And by ICE.com. Give your special lady a beautiful piece of jewelry for Christmas this year with a TWiT exclusive offer from ICE.com. 25% off most items, plus free guaranteed delivery by Christmas. Get your big discount on fine jewelry now through December 19th at ICE.com/Windows. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that covers the latest news from the Microsoft campus, deep in the heart of Redmond. And deep in our hearts, Mr. Paul Thurrott.
Leo, did I ever show you my Windows Vista Cola?
Don't open that can.
This cola is confident, clear, and connected.
Wow.
And it also comes in lemon lime.
You should just save that. That's going to be valuable someday.
There's no way I'm drinking this, Leo.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
It goes down hard.
Yes. Windows Vista, it goes down hard. That's the motto they should have gone with.
Suck it down, Windows Vista.
Also here, Mary Jo Foley, all about Microsoft.com. It's a holly jolly festival time.
I wish I had a cola. I don't. I would have had the fast and fluid version.
Ooh, fast and fluid.
That's a slightly different problem.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Oh my! Should we start with the breaking news, or you want to bury the lead?
No, let's start with the breaking news. What is the breaking news, Leo?
I hear that, I think Mary Jo, who had this story? Was it you, Mary Jo?
Oh, Mary Jo has this one. I'm sorry.
Guys. Yeah. Sure. We just found out right before the start of Windows Weekly that Live Mesh, Microsoft's PC sync service, is going away. It's not too unexpected, but now we have a date. It's February 13th, 2013. They're pulling the plug on Live Mesh.
What was Mesh?
I know.
We had 100 words or less.
We hardly knew ye.
I know.
My sense is it was like a sync tool, right? It was like the replacement for ActiveSync.
It was a sync tool, but when they first talked about it back in 2008, it was supposed to be even more. It was almost like an operating system, the way they talked about it. Like apps were going to be able to be hosted on Live Mesh. They built a developer platform for Live Mesh. This was Ray Ozzy's big thing when he came to Microsoft. This was his first really big project that he was shepherding the whole way. And it was very, very ambitious. It ended up being a sync service, but a sync service that a lot of people really loved.
Yeah, and it was Mac compatible too, so I could use it on my Mac.
I used it and relied on it. Raphael and I used it for books. You can share the live, these things with other people. It was great.
So have they replaced it with an equivalent or even better product that makes this obsolete?
Actually, yeah. Yes. To be fair, mostly yes. I mean, people point to some things that are still missing, but actually, I think there's the replacement for it is the SkyDrive application, the desktop application. It doesn't have all of the Live Mesh features, which is still a bone of contention with some people. But actually, I would argue it picks up the most important features and has unique functionality of its own as well.
All right. Yeah. So, in other words, it's nothing to be missed.
Well, no, there will be people who are going to be very unhappy about this.
Yeah,
Okay.
they say there's still 25,000 users, and these users are very vocal users. Like I'm already getting tweets from people saying, "That's it. I'm not using SkyDrive. I'm going to something else, even if I have to pay for it."
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Somebody's asking on Twitter, what would you recommend to replicate the remote desktop functionality, which is one of those things that is not available in the SkyDrive app. The SkyDrive application, actually I should say SkyDrive, once you install the SkyDrive application, one of the things you get is the ability to access your PC's file system over the web remotely, which is probably 90% of the reason why people use the old remote desktop functionality to begin with. The recommendation I had made in the past when I wrote about the transition from Live Mesh to SkyDrive was to use something called LogMeIn Hamachi, which until very recently was free for individual use. That's a VPN program. Then you could just run remote desktop. You run Hamachi on both PCs, and then you just run the normal remote desktop program. It was actually a better solution than the Live Mesh remote desktop. The problem is Hamachi, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look this up, but I think they just went to a paid model.
Yeah.
So it's not free anymore. Microsoft's blog post today mentions using LogMeIn Pro, which I'd have to look.
What about TeamViewer? Is that another
anything like that would work? I mean, but I think what people are looking for is something free, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure there are various. What's that open source kind of VPN program?
VNC.
VNC. Yeah. I'm sure there's open VNC type programs and so forth, but yeah. And the other piece that's missing is peer-to-peer sync. So people wanted to sync content from one PC to another without involving the cloud, and that's just not available in SkyDrive.
Pardon me.
I was like, "You're going on too long, Paul."
You get the gong.
It's a little hat thing.
All right, I accept it. Father Christmas. Sorry about that.
Not in the least. Go on as long as you can. Well, I mean, I think that's a big story, Mesh, and it's interesting. Now, Ray Ozzy's gone as well. Do you think that this is related to his departure?
One of the things that happened when he left was that Microsoft had a bunch of different sync tools. Like, it would be impossible off the top of my head to give you the entire history of Live Mesh, but I think it started as Live Mesh. It became Windows Live Mesh. There was a separate product called Windows Live Sync, I think I have that right. That was part of Windows Live Essentials. Then they got rid of that, and they renamed it to Windows Live Mesh, right? Yep. And even though it was actually the old Sync, it's really kind of hard to understand. So the Live Mesh that people are using today is actually Windows Live Sync. It's not the original Live Mesh, which is the thing that Mary Jo was describing, the platform and app syncing and so forth. And so it's a very convoluted kind of a history, but and there's more. Yeah, someone just mentioned Folder Share was one of them. I mean, there were many products. I mean, even SyncToy arguably falls into this category of Microsoft, PC to PC or PC to cloud or PC to cloud to PC type sync solution. So very convoluted, very hard to understand. But I guess one of the, I don't want to say benefits, or one of the things that happened when Ray Ozzy left is that they at least consolidated this stuff down. And I do think that the SkyDrive thing they have now makes the most sense.
It's
overall.
Kind of more modern, isn't it? They were replacing synchronization tools, and now it's really all about cloud.
And they're using SkyDrive now as the back end for everything. It's kind of amazing. So it's part of the new Office. It's part of Xbox now. And you can buy additional storage, which was something you couldn't do with Live Mesh.
Right.
So
I think this makes sense.
It's definitely improved in some ways, too.
Painful, but it makes sense. Painful for some.
Sure. Well, I made the transition before we did Windows. Is that right? Let me think about that. Yeah, Windows 8 Secrets, I think we did on SkyDrive.
So what do you? So you use SkyDrive in the same way to share the document with your co-authors.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. Mesh is dead. Long live the mesh, or whatever. We have a new pope, or something. Let's talk about Surface. I thought this was very interesting. I think Microsoft's responding to the negative stories about Surface not selling, about hard to find Windows 8 RT products, by kind of doubling down. That's how I'd characterize it. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And it's hard to know what came first here, right? It's like were Surfaces not selling, so they moved the date up, which is what I think in terms of making it available in other retail outlets. Or is it a case more that there just aren't that many good new Windows 8 Touch machines out there? So Microsoft's like, okay, let's put something in the stores at least.
Right.
Since there aren't that many choices.
I think you have literally hit on the two exact reasons they did it. I think those are exactly right. I know that the original plan was for this to happen in very late January when the Surface 8 Pro came. They were going to make this available and the Surface RT available to other retailers. And I do know that they did move up the date. So, yeah, I think you're exactly
you know, there's this there's this big thing called Christmas where people go out and they buy stuff.
Microsoft has not handled Christmas well since maybe Windows 95, which even Windows 95 arguably hitting in late August was a little too late in some ways. But
it's just,
they just have bad timing on this stuff.
A lot of companies try to get stuff in the stores by September so that people can buy it. Now, late January, not traditionally the best time of the year to sell anything.
So if there's anyone from Microsoft listening to this, maybe we should reiterate that so you can take some notes.
Yeah.
Say that again, Leo. Well, customers like to buy things when? When is it? Not January, but when?
If you're watching the video, I think it's pretty clear that Festivus is upon us, and that is the time that people will go out and spend thousands of dollars on products for their loved ones, maybe even perhaps a Surface RT. Otherwise, they're just going to buy iPads, guys.
Yeah, when did those come out? A little earlier?
Yeah, I think September. Yeah,
a little earlier.
Yeah. And then there's by the way, in business, there's also a demand to. I know we do. We don't know what the tax situation is going to be after the fiscal cliff, and so we're trying to spend. To put as much income into 2012 as we can and spend as much money as we can, get as many deductions as we can while we can get them. So even in business, there's demand to get this stuff done before December 31st.
Sure.
So there's two good reasons.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this change will have an impact.
Yeah. Now, it wasn't just getting it into the retailers. Didn't they announce other stuff too?
Yeah. They said they're going to also turn some of the holiday pop-up stores into permanent stores so that they'll have more places to sell the Surface. But ironically, they won't say which stores. They just said some, but they won't say which ones or where. I think Times Square is probably one of the ones that is going to go permanent because it's such a great location. And it's also, they built it to be more of a permanent store than just a booth, which is what a lot of those pop-up stores are that they have.
Right. I don't know this for a fact, but okay, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, and then the other country that's getting the Surfaces at retail is Australia, which is an interesting choice. So it's Australia and the U.S. who are getting them in the retail outlets, but none of the others. Others may be getting them later, but we don't know which countries are getting them after that.
Yeah, definitely others are getting it too.
Yeah.
So, and I also note that there is, it was Patch Tuesday on Tuesday, that there's a patch for the RT. Now, did it just do it, or because I don't see anything about it? Is it going to tell me?
No, you should go look for it.
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah.
We'll do this. Actually, here's a quick way. Here's one thing you can do. Bring up the charms and hit settings.
I did that, yeah.
And actually,
I'm looking at the Wi-Fi, the speaker, the screen.
No, hit the power.
Power. Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that.
See if it has an update and restart.
And restart.
Yeah, so that will do it. That will install it.
Now, is that always there, or just when there's an update available?
No, just when there's an update.
Oh. So I guess do they not have a facility to do a little notification?
Well, no, because I think what they're eventually it will just do it, and then you get alerted that you need to restart at some point. And then if you wait too long, it will say, "Look, we're really going to restart this thing. Right. We have to do it."
That's what Windows does if you turn on the automatic updates.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's doing keep your PC. I know they still call Windows RT a PC. Keep your PC plugged in until this is done. And installing update 1 of 3. So a Wi-Fi fix is in here. What is in here?
Yeah. There's the limited Wi-Fi connectivity fix. And I don't know the whole story.
I've been looking for limited Wi-Fi connectivity.
Do you, Paul? I know I've seen some people write about this. I don't really know exactly how it was limited myself, but also support for access point names, SSIDs, like Eric's Phone 1, using non-standard ASCII characters. So it's like kind of small things.
Apostrophe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that's all that's listed as being in these updates. But what I find kind of interesting,
it's taken a while to do.
I know
it's going to take a while.
Right.
Yeah,
there's something going on.
I think there's more. I think there's more in these updates than Microsoft is saying publicly.
Yeah. I mean, the last one was really big, and arguably this one's pretty big as well.
Yeah, I asked if there were other firmware components to this update, and they said we are only saying these two things are in the update, and that's all we're saying.
But we do recommend that you install it immediately.
Yeah.
Except we're not going to tell you
now,
about
right?
it. Except we're not going to notify you about it. But just you might want. And by the way, it's a tablet. You never shut it down or restart it in a normal course of events.
Well, except that it's a Windows tablet, so you'll be resetting that thing at least once a month. So
from now on.
Yeah. No, the way it works is actually not too horrible. And one would assume that the seriousness of these updates will decline over time. But, like I said, it will. Most people probably do the recommended settings on automatic updates and this kind of thing. It will do what it can do in the background, and then it just waits for you to reset. And if you haven't reset, or if you don't reset, it will eventually warn you. And then it will eventually say, look, this thing's happening in X amount of time, whether you want it to or not. So why don't you start shutting down some programs? I mean, it will make sure it happens at least.
Well, I just want you to know I'm building a Mapple store in the town of Springfield, and if I had a Microsoft pop-up store, they really should contact Electronic Arts and give me the chance to build a Microsoft pop-up store. Because
it is literally a Simpsons version of The Sims.
Yeah. It's awesome.
That is a genius idea.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, it won't let me plant it there. Here, I'll put the Mapple store right next to the nuclear waste. That's where you get your.
Are those itchy and scratchy balloons like you would see in a parade?
They are. That was a Thanksgiving thing. During Thanksgiving, you could buy the parade.
Just making sure I saw what I thought I saw.
Yeah, it wasn't a hallucination. Okay. Oh Lord, this is a bad game. I've kind of got sucked into it. Fortunately, not available on Windows RT, so you're safe.
Weird.
Well, speaking of where the Surface is going to be available, this was another kind of weird thing. So Microsoft, when they made this announcement this week, they didn't say where it was going to be available. They just said at retail. And then Staples announced, and then Best Buy announced. But I think there are going to be more places, too. Like, I keep hearing the rumor about Verizon having Surface RT.
So, for whatever it's worth, Staples and Best Buy I knew about ahead of time.
Yeah.
So those two have obviously materialized. I have not heard Verizon, so that doesn't mean it's not happening. I just haven't heard it.
Yeah. I've talked to, so far, two readers who've gone into Verizon wireless stores in their towns, and they said there are Surface RTs in there on display.
Wow.
Now, what's interesting is, but you can't use them on the Verizon network, right?
That's what. You can't use them on any network. They don't have a.
Well, I was going to ask that. These don't have 3G, so what the hell?
So, is it even possible that Verizon would want to sell a device that doesn't connect to their network?
My guess, either two guesses. Either they're going to sell some kind of a USB modem that lets you get on the network, or they just are going to offer you a package deal, like buy a Windows Phone 8 and also buy a tablet with it, right?
Well,
because it's weird they're in the stores.
When the iPad first came out, it was only available on AT&T's network, and so when Verizon first started selling them, they sold the Wi-Fi version, but I think they sold it with a MiFi type device. Yeah. I think.
Somebody in the chat room says, yes, it is in my Verizon store. I saw one.
Interesting. I would love to see a Surface with built-in cellular broadband. I just don't get why they're not doing that.
Well, they will. That's I think that can't be far off. Right?
I don't know. They're very obstinate, Leo. They have metrics.
We have metrics.
They have data.
So
you can't run a business on your guts, Leo. We're not Apple.
Still, by the way, updates are still going, so I have no idea.
No, it's going to take a while. 30%. It's not a fast computer.
Yeah. Now you tell me.
I'm pretty sure. Well,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Now it's booting. Surface.
Now we'll install more on the boot back.
Oh, there's more. Now,
it's called updating it forward.
I guess now I am having once been burned. I'm twice shy. Should I go to desktop and see if there's any updates over there?
So actually, you obviously clicked on power and went with it.
Yes,
it would have been. It's okay to check because there could be some optional stuff. I think if you've been updating the Surface all along,
yes,
there weren't any other optional updates, but it's certainly worth looking at.
Okay, fun. I always like
because
updates.
It's important that we learn to micromanage our computers.
Yes.
Why would we expect a computing device to do that intelligently or for us?
Yeah. Well, even in all fairness, even Apple's update situation for the iPad is pretty pathetic. You have to go to the App Store and put a little badge on it. You have to go there. You have to download them. They just recently added an update. You used to have to do it one by one.
That is possibly the single greatest feature in iOS 6 I've ever seen, only because it's
but now they very rarely push out updates to the operating system. That's much less common. Do you think we'll see updates every second Tuesday as we do on Windows 7?
Yeah,
they're going to start doing that cycle.
Starting to look like
they're on it now.
Yeah,
they're already on it. That's where those updates are from.
Right. Yeah, these are Patch Tuesday updates.
The other, and the other side effect, and by the way, you see this on Mac OS 10 with their App Store is, now we have two places to look all the time for updates.
It's very frustrating.
So in addition to Windows Update, we also have the App Store.
Right. Actually, so Apple has unified that in Mountain Lion. So
okay. Well, they are further along, right? So that's
inches.
But that's
they're inches ahead.
Feedback from a more mature environment. I mean, that makes sense.
Exactly.
So I remember that being an issue when they first came up with the App Store.
Yeah, you got to check twice.
Yeah. So it's an issue now on Windows. And I remember thinking when they were talking about how they were going to do it, that how could they possibly not have learned this lesson? That why wouldn't you have a single place for everything?
You'd think that there would be somebody at Microsoft who just says, has a whiteboard, what lessons Apple learned that we could maybe take advantage of.
Yep. Well, they do it sometimes, right? I mean, a lot of their App Store policies are very specifically, what did Apple do wrong? Let's make that right.
Right.
But a lot of times they just kind of do, well, this is what Apple's doing, let's just do that.
Yeah, slavish copying.
I think the goal should always be to improve on it.
Right. There's an opportunity there. And I think in some respects they did. I think, that, by the way, we're now starting to see as documents come out in these court cases and so forth, that Apple is asking of HTC the same kind of deal that it made with Microsoft, where HTC wouldn't copy them and they wouldn't copy HTC. And apparently they did the same thing with Microsoft. We won't copy you, you can't copy us, that kind of thing.
Well, but Microsoft has had a Windows Update since 1998. I mean,
no, this is
adding
not copying.
They're not copying anybody.
No.
They've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. No,
it just doesn't make sense to me.
In a moment, we're going to talk about how you can steal Windows 8 apps and games, and that'll be a lot of fun. But first,
tips and tricks.
Tips from Nokia. But first, unbelievable. Let's talk about Ford and the amazing technologies that are going into the new Ford motor cars. I'm on the list for the Fusion. I want the plug-in hybrid, the Energy. It'll be out in a month or so, they say. I'm very excited. You can get the 2013 Ford Fusion right now with a gas engine or the hybrid, but I want the plug-in hybrid, which is kind of an unusual. Also, the 2013 Ford Taurus. These new Ford vehicles have some very interesting technology. Some of it you may be familiar with, some of it you may not. For instance, Bliss, which has been around for a while and I just love. Did you know that Bliss stands for Blind Spot Information System? BLIS. And it's actually quite a clever idea. So sensors in the rear quarter panels on the left and right of the vehicle scan. I guess they say sensors, but I'm thinking they're either cameras or they're maybe radar of some kind. I'm not sure what the scanning is. But they can actually see traffic in the blind spots. Now, it's not that they show you an image. They don't. What they do, which is very cool, is they warn you. If another vehicle's in your blind spot, you'll see audio and visual alerts warning the driver on the mirrors. You also have cross-traffic alert, which I really like. Cross-traffic, you can find out more about all of this, by the way, on the website at Here it is, Ford.com/technology. But the cross-traffic alert, when you're backing out of a spot and you know how you can't see because there's a truck in one side and a van in the other, it can see around corners effectively. And so it will let you know as you're backing out. It will let you know, oh, you got somebody out there. Careful. Slow. Whoa, watch out. There's so many cool things. Look at if you go to Ford.com/technology, so many cool technologies that you can find out about at the site. And they've got great videos explaining how it all works and so forth. Just really neat stuff. They also, you might want to take a look at, for instance, the Active Park Assist, which I've used and just kind of blows me away. The Active Park Assist actually parks your car. This is kind of the scariest thing. It's amazing. So as you're driving by, I'm sorry, I have you on the screen. I'm sorry, Paul.
I was looking to see if someone was going to come out of my closet.
People kind of wondering why we were staring at Paul. Well, I thought we were looking at a movie. Here's the Active Park Assist. So I did this in a Ford Flex, which is a big vehicle. You press the button. It says, look for parking spaces. As soon as it's measuring the parallel parking spaces as you're driving by. As soon as it sees one, it says, I got one. Pull forward. You pull forward, press a button. And it steers, it does the parallel parking perfectly every single time. Just like you were taught to do it, you go the edge to edge. It's geometry. The car knows geometry. Incredible. Incredible. There's so much more if you go and look at the site, Ford.com/technology. Like the My Key feature, if you've got a teenage driver, it keeps an eye on what they are doing and will limit things like how loud the stereo system could be and how fast they could go. And when the fuel light comes on. I mean, this is all at Ford.com/technology. This is a high-tech company creating vehicles that are spectacular, and I cannot wait to get my 2013 Ford Fusion Energy. Find out more. Go to a Ford dealer near you. Drive further. Go further in a Ford and visit Ford.com/technology to learn more about those great Ford technologies. Really neat stuff. What happens, though, is then you can't drive a car that doesn't have that stuff. Because you kind of count on it. The bliss is amazing when it, as you're backing out, it goes, there's a guy over to your left. And it's like, I actually ran into somebody from pulling out of a blind spot. He pulled out of a blind spot right in my path. And this would have saved. No accident. Let's see. Moving along. So this comes from a Nokia engineer. Is this... So what's the deal here? Hard to believe. He explains how to steal games and apps?
Yes, he does. It is bizarre. I mean, I believe, I don't know if the site just got hammered or if the post got pulled or whatever, but if you go back and look at it, it has these explanations like, in-app purchases are really great. Let's find out how to subvert that and just get them for free. I mean, it's crazy. Or, games are one of the most popular things you can do on a tablet. Here are 4 games. Let's crack them all.
Who wants to pay for Angry Birds when you can get it for free?
It is one of the more nutso things. I mean, the only thing that would have been crazier is if this guy worked at Microsoft. But it's really just, it's pretty much that nuts.
Nokia is practically Microsoft these days.
What?
Yeah.
Was it Justin Angel who wrote this?
Yeah, it was. Yep.
So he used to work for Microsoft.
Oh, wow.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So he's going down in flames.
His name is so familiar to me, and I'm okay.
Wow. So this is like, is he a hacker? Like, information should be free kind of guy?
What did he work on?
I think he worked on Silverlight at one point.
Oh, well,
that's why he's so mad.
He's angry. He's bitter.
But now his job is he's principal engineer at Nokia on Windows Phone.
Wow.
So you got to wonder,
that is insane.
So how
what the heck?
Just for academic interest, how do you do it?
I'm not gonna.
Was it easy? Was it easy?
It was. Yeah, I mean, I think the problem was he went after very specific titles.
Right.
He described the tools and exactly how to do it. All the stuff is readily available. I think within the hacker community,
it's probably
what he did was not necessarily super sophisticated, but whatever. It is just, it's astonishing.
Well, it's job suicide.
It really is
I
astonishing.
doubt he's still working at Nokia at this point, right?
I don't know, but honestly, I really
do.
Yes.
I think he deserves to be fired for this. This is crazy.
So I'm looking at Twitter, and Jenny Cowie, I think is how she pronounces her last name. She's an MVP for Windows Phone. She said he had already done a version of that post a year ago. So this is like something he's done before.
Well, so that begs the question. There's two things to do. There's three things to do. First, you give the guy a box, and you say, "We'll be seeing you." Second, you pull the post down. But third, you fix the problem. And if he posted this a year ago, why haven't they fixed the hole? Maybe that's why he's reposting.
Right. It is. That's Jenny saying he wanted Microsoft to fix the problems and for devs to work around it through
obfuscation.
Obfuscation.
Security by obscurity is really a last resort, frankly. But I guess it's better if Microsoft won't fix it.
It was like a challenge. It was like a challenge. Come on, fix it.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but if you do we have a link to the? We don't have a link to it, I guess. So, do you know, Mary Jo? Do you know where the post is? I'm not even sure if it's still up.
No.
What's his name? Justin what?
Justin Angel.
Well, I think I could just Google Justin Angel Nokia.
If only there was some way to find someone on the internet.
It's tricky.
Yeah, it's not available. So it's justinangel.net. His site's down.
Windows Phone enthusiast Justin Angel giving away. Let's see what the rest of that says.
Yeah,
giving away
servers.
5 Nokia Lumia 800s. Wow, this guy's he's like a nice guy. Nokia hires former Silverlight program manager Justin Angel. He's a developer relations guy. So you know what? It may be more nuanced. He may have been trying to help developers, not.
If you say so, but if you read this post, there's not a lot of nuance going on there.
Oh, yeah,
it was pretty straightforward.
Here's his website.
It was so bizarre the way it was written. It was like, games are really popular. Let's crack 4 of them. It was just bizarre. Or like, one of the key ways that developers can make money using the Windows 8 app ecosystem is to have in-app purchases. Here's how you screw that up for those developers. It was really just bizarre. If his point was to educate, he did, but he educated the wrong audience.
On his website, which is currently down, he uses the game Soulcraft as an example of how one can modify parts of a game to avoid ponying up for in-game purchases. Quote, storing encrypted data locally alongside the algorithm and the algorithm key hash is a recipe for security incidents. He's saying there's a security flaw. He's also showing you how to remove ads from games and manipulate trial versions to unlock the full release. But what he's really doing is exposing a flaw. Now, the chat room has an interesting conspiracy theory. They think this is marketing to a limited subset of the audience.
I think that, the one audience that was never going to buy Windows 8 anyway, suddenly is very interested
Tell
in
me
Windows
how to
8.
get the phone free, and I'm in.
I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. I mean, it wouldn't be very hard to say, look, here's a picture of this game that has this ad in it, and using a very common technique, look what I did to it. Here's the game with no ad. I did this. Microsoft needs to fix it. That kind of thing. You don't spell out, like, here's how I did it. Here's the exact tool I used. And here's the exact 4 games I went after and how to break them all. It was very specific. I mean, it just didn't need to be written that way.
Well, anyway, the fact that he's not fired tells me that something's going on, or maybe it's just
maybe he's pulling a John McAfee and he's running around the jungles of Guatemala or something.
Wow, it's fascinating. And it sounds like he was fairly well respected. That's what's kind of interesting. He's not like just some guy coming out.
I mean, his name is familiar to me. I suspect he was very well known. Is very well known. I don't know.
Now, oh, wait a minute. Now, I thought the site was down, but the chat room says here's a link. No, it's not. It's still down. It says 503 service unavailable.
Yeah. It's been like that for a couple of days.
Yeah. Now that's interesting because that usually if I had an offensive post, and this actually has happened to me, and I worked for a company and the company says take it down, you take the post down, you don't take your server down. So this sounds no seriously, this sounds more like there was that Microsoft or Nokia contacted the host and said,
the techniques he's describing obviously violate various laws.
DMCA.
DMCA being the first one.
So they could have. I mean, this is a 503 service unavailable. This is more than just pulling that page.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute. Here's a Google cache link.
Yeah, that's how I saw it. I saw a cached version.
Thanks to the chat room, we can all learn how to do it. Hi, folks. This article is a follow-up to my previous article in 2011. Wow. But first, why games? This is a not at all unusual post from a security, if it were a security researcher, saying, here's how... He says,
but even those guys
show how insecure each of these payment streams are in real-world examples. I think this may be justified in the sense that he warned people a year ago. Nobody fixed it. So now he exposes it. That's pretty common.
God, if only there was some internal way he could have communicated this to Microsoft.
Well, maybe he did. What we don't know is, did he?
I don't know.
No one knows.
We don't know. Anyway, makes me want to download Soulcraft. Looks like a good game. Hackable anyway. So some other related news. SkyDrive is on Xbox, speaking of gaming. What would I do with that?
This one's a little limited. It's basically photos and videos that you put in SkyDrive can be played, in a slideshow type format for photos. And that's it. So I guess it's that part of SkyDrive that sort of makes sense on Xbox for now. If you have music files up on SkyDrive like I do, you can't access. Well, we can look at them. You can look at the properties of the files, but you can't play them. There's no way to trigger music playback to a slideshow, so it's kind of basic functionality. But obviously, you can see where they're going with that one, putting SkyDrive everywhere. So it's a first step.
Yeah, it makes sense. Anyway, somebody in the chat room said, and I, not having read the article, I don't know, that the issue is how developers implement it, not how Microsoft has implemented it. So what he's saying is, developers, get your act together. Don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But he could have published a
Again, there could have been a before and after. It's like, look, developer, I just hacked your game. Contact me to figure out how to fix this. Right. Right way to do it, I guess. And
some new apps coming to Xbox Live. Can't wait to get Skype. That's exciting. Why are you laughing?
Yes. Well, because that's not on the list.
Darn it.
It's not on the list.
I thought Christmas came early.
It is obviously coming.
Well, they want to make it just right.
I wonder if
Google
Skype
with their Maps app.
But I wonder if it's going to be like Skype was on Windows Phone 7, where it's the platform is just not sophisticated enough for this to work properly, and that for them to do Skype properly, they're going to need the next Xbox, just like on Windows Phone, they needed the next Windows Phone. And so maybe that's part of the problem.
Right. So
CNET's on there, though. CNET US and Canada is one of the new apps.
Now, is that what does that mean? Is that a gateway to their site? Is it something different from what you'd get at cnet.com?
It's an app.
It doesn't matter. It's just an app.
God, it's like you don't even know what you're talking about, Leo. It's an app.
This is not part of the
Why do we have to say any more than that?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's an app. This is not part of the new media thing, though, that they're doing, right? This is not. Because I was hoping to have a channel on Xbox for TWiT.
Right.
But that's not what you're talking about. This is an app.
You could have an app on Xbox, I bet.
Sure. Of course I could. And that would be a channel.
I'm not, you could get into Xbox Live. I don't know what they call it, but the kind of enthusiast gaming platform pretty cheaply, really cheaply. But if you want to get into the real deal, and I suspect these apps fall into that category, it's a lot. It's a huge investment.
We're not talking XNA or something simple like that.
No. This is like, I think it's pretty serious.
C Sharp.
Well, I don't know. I mean, price-wise. It's not
price-wise. Oh, you have to pay Microsoft to do this.
Yeah, I don't think this is like, download your free version of Visual Studio from MSDN and have fun making an app for Xbox. Not yet. I mean, I do think we'll get there. But
do you think that's why Google said they're not going to do their apps for Windows Phone?
No, that's unrelated. You can do that stuff for free.
Okay.
Or for nearly free.
Okay.
No. The Xbox specifically is just kind of a different thing. I think part of the reason is just that it's, like I said, it's fairly unsophisticated from a multitasking perspective. So there are kind of strict rules as to what you can do. And
well, it also has to do with the revenue model for Xbox. I mean, they sell Xboxes at a loss. They hope to make it up in the content, right? So they probably have a historic revenue model that takes a big chunk.
Sure.
Right?
Well, most of these apps require Xbox Live Gold, which is an annual subscription.
They're taking a chunk from there. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's a chunk. $99.
But this is something I bet changes. I bet the next Xbox is way more sophisticated and more like a typical mobile platform from an app store
Scott
perspective.
Michaud in our chat room says that even XBLA games need to pay around $40,000 to release a patch. I guess that's for bandwidth.
No.
That's a lot. So that's
a lot of money.
We're talking that order of magnitude, tens of thousands.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
No.
We'd have to sell a lot more mugs to make that worthwhile.
Well, that's the thing. Right. So, what's the potential audience, right? There's probably, I haven't looked into this, but I suspect there's a way to view your podcast on the Xbox 360.
Right. Probably.
I would imagine there's got to be some way to do that. There's a browser there. And
our podcast, not just mine. They're
I'm sorry.
Our podcast.
What I meant was our podcast and those other things that you do.
Those other ones. Those other things.
Those rumored other podcasts.
Oh, you're getting me back for last week, aren't you? Now, Andrew Azarian's in the chat room. We'll ask him how he feels.
Right.
Those other guys.
My understanding, all I'm saying is you do several podcasts.
Yes, I've heard that. Somebody told me that once. Sometimes I wonder. They all blend together, Paul.
Yeah, yes.
It's all one big tuck fest, gab fest. So we are currently on Windows Apollo. Windows Phone 8 is Apollo.
Yes.
And if Windows Phone 7 is Tango.
Mango.
Mango.
Tango.
Mango was 7.5.
7.5 is Mango, but 7.8
Tango was post 7.5, right?
Yeah, it's like
7.8. We don't know.
Oh, it doesn't have a name.
We don't have a code name.
So what's Portico?
I think 7.8 is no go.
It all has to end with an O, doesn't it? Apollo, Tango, Mango.
It was supposed,
Portico.
Joe Belfiore said it was going to stop ending with O's after Apollo, but I guess that was just a joke because here's Portico, right?
I think that's, we do this code name thing at the end of every show, and I think it makes sense to have code names that kind of indicate their relationship.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Portico is the first over-the-air update for Windows Phone 8. It's for HTC 8X. And it's one of the things that it fixes. The main thing it fixes is the rogue reboot problem that some people were having where their phones were just rebooting by themselves.
So that was a software issue, I guess.
Yes, it seems so. So that's one of the big things in here. And then there's some SMS, more minor SMS capabilities like saving as a draft and things like that. So it's a bunch of smaller fixes that are coming over the air to HTC 8X users. What's interesting is it's already starting to roll out in Europe. I've talked to a few people who've got it. It has not yet hit the United States. And, of course, when I asked Microsoft when they just said it's up to carriers, which doesn't make sense, right?
Oh, hold on a second. Actually, that's an amazing response because you actually got a response.
It took a few tries.
Well, you got a response. I don't understand what you're complaining about.
We answered your question.
I know it's progress. We should say that that is progress. We're getting responses now, so that's good. But yeah, they said it is going to come to us here in the United States. They can't say when. And that's all I could get. I asked also, would the Lumia Windows Phone 8 users get some of these capabilities delivered over the air as well? And I got a no comment. So there you have it.
Supposedly, though, these updates weren't. That was one of the things they talked about at the summit, that these things would not be blocked by the carriers.
Yeah. The way they told me it and the way they told you this were two different things, I believe. So what they said to me, because we were all briefed separately, what they told me was they were putting a system in place where if carriers blocked you from getting an update, Microsoft would somehow make it available to you so you could go and get it and download it yourself. at some point after they had deemed that the carrier was going to block it. They never told us how we were going to do that, or if they were going to push them to us, or if we were going to have to go get them.
I just looked up my notes from the summit, from the pre-summit briefing, and this is what I have on this topic. It says, we have a new policy for updates going forward. We call this the Paul Thurrott feature, because I complained about it a lot. Details are still coming. We're going to provide a way for enthusiasts to get an update immediately. There's a pull mechanism for enthusiasts, a beta form maybe, qualifications around that. We heard loud and clear. We get that you have a relationship with mobile operator, but really want that feature now. We will assume the liability. We're figuring out the terms.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good answer. That's a great answer. That's the answer you want. That's what Apple does.
Right, but that was in June. And I don't know if they said anything at the actual summit event, or I don't recall off the top of my head. I assume that they probably did.
I'll tell you how Samsung does it. They have an app called Keys, Kies, that they ship on all their phones. And then you go to on your computer, you go to the Samsung site, download the update, then connect your computer wired or wirelessly to your phone via Keys and transfer it over. And that's a fairly straightforward process.
Okay, and by the way, so this video is online, but in my notes, what I have from the keynote, from the summit keynote, it says software updates. All software updates are delivered over the air, no more tethering. Devices are supported with updates for at least 18 months. Registered enthusiasts will get early access to updates before any broad consumer push. Oh. So they mentioned that registered enthusiast notion again, which, by the way, I just tweeted the other day. This is something that they mentioned in June and have never mentioned again, this notion that people who were Windows Phone enthusiasts would be able to somehow sign up for some program and be able to get early access to these updates. But, of course, this Portico thing is coming out already.
Well, you know what happened. The carriers said, yeah, right, Microsoft. Yeah, sure. You're going to be able to update that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right.
I'm Apple?
Okay. All I'm saying is promises were made. Horses' heads are going to be in people's beds. That's all. So.
Well, they should probably not have promised unless they, could implement it.
Yeah. What does the word registered mean? When you're saying registered enthusiast, like how do you register as an enthusiast?
So they haven't made this program yet, but apparently one could imagine maybe that there would be like a website where you go and you register and your ID gets to register with that, and you get I don't know. I sort of looked at it as kind of a beta type program that you might get early access to these updates. I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of people who would love to have that kind of access, but hasn't happened. So I don't know.
So much.
Oh, and so
do we know what Portico is?
So Portico's the first update, but there's also still this thing called Apollo Plus. That's another code name that we've heard. That seems to be more like an interim, a true interim release, kind of more like Mango, like that may actually have more substantial features and isn't necessarily a bunch of fixes. That may also still be coming next year if the rumors about that one are right.
I think it's reasonable to expect Windows Phone 8 to be updated along the same means as Windows 8, right? We should see interim updates for this thing as well, because there's a lot of little things they had to kind of drop when they moved to this new platform. Which, maybe we should have seen coming, but they're starting to hit people. There's weird things like the ability to play a WAV file from the
a ringtone from a WAV
voicemail.
File.
Not a ringtone, but from the voicemail. Apparently, a lot of voicemail is in WAV format, and for some reason, Windows Phone 8 can't play that. Windows Phone 7 had no problem doing that. So it's kind of one example of many little things. There's no radio. There used to be an FM radio in the music and video app, and now it's gone. And somebody tweeted or wrote somewhere that the reason that happened was because they just ran out of time. That as they moved to this new NT-based platform, they just didn't have time to port it over. And so maybe that's something that comes back later in one of these updates. So we'll see. But again, this is one of those transparency issues. Really, as we did through the Windows 8 development timeline, find ourselves having to speculate a lot here because they just don't really come out and say what they're doing a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it seems like Microsoft wants to have this aura of secrecy, but they're secretive about the strangest things.
Yep.
It's
like everything.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's some things you really probably should tell people.
Yeah.
You know, pick and choose.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Office on the iPad. I saw an interesting screenshot. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, a word from Squarespace.com. Are you looking for a place for your website, whether you're selling stuff? You've got, you know what it's great for? Portfolios, artists, designers, a personal blog. Squarespace is the place, and I'll tell you for a few reasons. First of all, it is the best hosting. We've never been able to, and we've tried it. We've really tortured tested Squarespace sites, and we've never been able to bring one down, even sending huge amounts of traffic that has brought down many other sites. You can't do it. And I think part of the reason, in fact, I know it is because Anthony Castellana told me this, the guy who wrote the software originally and now runs the company, that the tight integration between the content management software and the server software means they can do stuff that you just can't do with other content management systems. It's just so tightly integrated. Squarespace is amazing. They've released the newest version recently that gives you mobile responsive design. I just read a Mashable article. In fact, if you want to know what mobile responsive design is, Mashable they're trumpeting that their site now works the same on all devices. Big deal. We spent millions to make this. And the funny thing is they could just have gotten a Squarespace site and they'd get it automatically. You'll get it automatically. It really is the modern way. You don't have a mobile site that's distinct from your usual regular site. You just have a site that is intelligent, that resizes itself to fit the screen that it's on. So they do things like when you upload an image, they create 7 different versions of that image in 7 different sizes. So it will always look great no matter what the site is on. They've got templates that you're starting with that are automatically designed that way. We're using the latest technologies like HTML5 and CSS3 and JavaScript. So I'll give you an example. Here's the Jensen template. This would be a good, kind of a Pinteresty looking thing to be good for a photographer, for a portfolio. But look, these are some customer sites using this. They all look different. They all look unique because it's so easy to customize. This is what's so powerful about Squarespace. The ease of the customization, the great templates, the beautiful designs you're starting with, and it's going to end up looking the way you want it, unique, to fit your brand, your desires, your needs, your style. Of course, integration of all the social networks, the new page builders, very easy to work with. You've got things like Google Maps, galleries with cutting-edge creative tools. This is just a fantastic place. And here's the thing that's going to blow you away. First of all, try it free. You don't need a credit card. Just go to squarespace.com, click the yellow Get Started button, and you're good to go. You can even import all the content, all the images, all the links, all the comments even from your existing site, and pre-populate it. And just play with it. You even get 24/7 support with your free trial offer. Of course, they have great support. They've got forums and everything. A great developer platform, too. I don't want to imply that it is something for newbies or somebody, because if it supports Git, SFTP, HTML5, CSS3, you've got a great developers platform, code editors that do syntax coloring and all of that stuff. So very powerful that way. If you decide this is for you, and I think it's for anybody who wants to do a site, just a site that never goes down, after you do the 14-day free trial, then take a look at pricing. $8 a month for the standard plan when you buy an annual plan. $16 a month for the unlimited. And unlimited is truly unlimited, including bandwidth and storage, as many galleries as you want. When you buy an annual plan, you get the domain name free, and they'll hook it all up for you. It's just a great deal. And there's another reason to buy an annual plan. Our offer code, Windows 12, will take 10% off your first purchase with a new account. So for maximum savings, get the annual plan. I would recommend the unlimited plan because at $16 a month, there's no better deal, I guarantee you, in web hosting. Hosting plus the best content management software ever. Squarespace.com. Don't forget, when it's time to buy, use our offer code Windows12 to save 10%. Windows and the number 12 for the month of December. Really great stuff. And even for a simple blog, this is awesome. Paul used it. He's using it for his latest book.
That's true.
Is it easy to post content?
Yep.
And so forth? Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Speaking of Office on the iPad. So I saw a screenshot that had PowerPoint. What did it have? It had Office, PowerPoint. Do you think that's credible? Excel?
I think Excel was there too.
Yeah.
Right?
Was that credible, Mary Jo? Was that or is that fake?
I think it's real. It was on. It came from a Mac site that saw this, Mac
Right.
Forever. But it looks like Microsoft support pages really are listing these things. So I think that's pretty definitive. You know.
Now, of course, it didn't have a date or anything.
No,
We're still
didn't
thinking,
have a date. Didn't really say like. So what is Excel for the iPad? Is it a local version? Is it something that's a little more than Office web apps? What it is, we don't know. But we do know there's something coming that's going to be Office for the iPad. And the rumored dates have been anywhere from early 2013 till I think May. So I think Paul and I both have heard May 2013 from people we know. So I'd say it's definitely coming. And if you look at what Microsoft officials are saying now when people ask them, you know, hey, are you going to do Office for the iPad? They're not even denying it anymore. They're just saying, you'll have to watch and see how we light up Office on other devices. So that's kind of saying,
here's a hint.
Coming.
It is coming.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's not be
I'm not gonna
coy.
say that, but yeah.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
But you know that whole thing that happened this week with Microsoft and SkyDrive in the App
let's
Store.
talk about that. So they told Apple, hey, we don't want to pay 30% for in-app purchases, so we're not going to make SkyDrive for the App Store.
Well,
Is that right?
reportedly.
Yeah. Right.
This was Alex who wrote this, right? Alex Wilhelm.
Yeah. And Microsoft said they came back and confirmed and said, yeah, we are having some discussions with Apple about how we should have to price SkyDrive in the App Store because we want to release updates, you know, let people buy inside the app and update for more storage. And Apple wants us to still pay that 30%, even if that's all people are coming back to buy. And so that, you know, that begs the question, what's going to happen when they do have Office for the iPad? How are they going to sell it through the store? How are they going to update it if they sell it through the store? Because they don't want to have to keep paying Apple 30% cut every time somebody gets an update to the features and functionality. So supposedly this is all on the table. Even the Office for iPad part may also be on the table in these discussions that they are having now with Apple.
I'm sorry, I just this breaking news just came in. Mm-hmm. The Psy video, Oppa Gangnam Style, is now closing in on 1 billion views on YouTube. 1 billion views.
It's absolutely worth watching.
I'm telling you, somebody's watched it 100 million times. That's clear.
Yeah.
That's clear.
Yep.
All right. So we don't. How will this Apple Microsoft thing resolve itself, you think?
Poorly, Leo. No, I think they're going to make this work. I really do.
They have to.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on.
Apple and Microsoft's relationship for the past, 15 years, whatever, has kind of been based around this Office stuff, you know?
Yeah, Office is the number
Office.
one app on Mac.
Yeah, they want this on the iPad. They have to want it on the iPad.
In fact, I was talking to somebody today who wants to buy an iPad and asked me, and I can use Word on it, right?
Yeah,
so now you'll be using the Apple app Pages for your word processing. And that wasn't the right answer, I think, for a lot of people.
Do they have Notepad for the iPad?
They have something like Notepad. Yeah, they have a note-taking app. It's actually beautiful. It's got leather, stitching. It's just gorgeous.
That sounds nauseating.
I ain't joking, by the way.
No,
it's very, what do they call that? Skeuomorphic. Skeuomorphic. Shall I show you? You want to see it? It's really pretty. Really. So you get your, it's like a leather portfolio. So you got the little thing there. You can put your notes there, the stitching up at the top. It's very beautiful.
You know what the problem with this is, other than the obvious, that it sucks, is that a lot of the designs they're emulating are things that don't mean anything to the people using this application.
No. Well, for instance, some programmer spent a lot of time putting little bits of paper where you tear off the yellow paper on the pad so that there are previous pages there.
So when you have not used this app, there's still torn off paper at the top, suggesting that someone was using it.
Somebody was using this. This is not a fresh notebook.
Yeah.
I just want
that's a good way to do it. It's smart.
But it does go with my pinky ring quite nicely, I think. Yeah.
Jeez. Oh.
I'll explain that.
I'm not saying that looks like something that came out of a Cracker Jacks box exactly, but
no. If you saw it in person, you'd be dazzled by the glitter. It's just me. The problem is not the ring. The problem is the man wearing it is the problem. Anyway, you got to have Office, I think, in the long run.
Yeah. I think so too.
But why can't Microsoft just do what Amazon did, right? Isn't there some way they could have, Office for iPad in the App Store, but then if somebody wants to get an update, go to a Microsoft site and get it from there? Like, why does it have to be inside the app?
Right.
Couldn't they get around it that way?
Yep.
Well, it just depends what they want to do, I guess. Right?
My understanding of this is this. Apple actually does not allow you to have an app that says, oh, by the way, you can go somewhere else and buy other stuff. They don't even let you have that link. And I think. So I think the issue, I should probably go look at it. I think in the Kindle app, for example, there's nothing in there that says, oh, by the way, you can buy books somewhere. I don't think. I could be wrong about that.
But I think when you click on it I don't have my iPad anymore, but when you click on the Kindle app on the iPad, doesn't it just takes you to a separate website, right? It doesn't even tell you you're going to go to a website.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and I could be missing it, but I don't think there is any notion, let's make sure that's true, there's nothing in here that says anything about there being a store. Like, you just have access to your items. That you've already purchased. And I think that's the problem. Like, Amazon can't even have a link that says, click here to go to the web version of our store.
Let me look. It used to, but I think you're right. I think
I'm looking on the iPod Touch, but
yeah, I think they took that out.
I think so.
Like a button.
And I think that's the issue. In other words, ideally what Microsoft would like to do is say, from within the app, here's a button, purchase additional storage, here's the tiers, make your choice, on you go. If they don't allow that, the next choice would be, well, click here and go to our mobile-oriented website that lets you do that. But I actually think that the contention here is over this, that Apple doesn't even allow that.
No, I don't see a store button anymore. And they're surely
I do think that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, it would also be, you've run out of space. Would you like to buy more? Can't do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I don't actually, honestly, this thing over SkyDrive to me is not a big issue. I don't think a lot of people are going to access SkyDrive on a phone and say, wow, I need to get a bit more storage. This is crazy. To me, that's not the issue. I think this is kind of about Office, really, that's where that's going to become a bigger issue.
Yeah. Let's see. What is NUI?
NUI, GUI, Huey, Louie, and Dewey.
GUI is graphical user interface. What is
this? Related to Wook? Like Chewy?
Wookie? Chewy?
No Chewy. No. NUI is natural user interface.
Oh.
Yeah. So when Microsoft and a lot of other tech companies use this now, they mean like speech-enabled, touch-enabled, voice-enabled, vision-enabled, computer vision-enabled. They kind of use it as all the stuff that...
everything but what you're doing now.
Yeah. Exactly. Anything but a keyboard and a mouse.
Nothing natural about that.
Yeah. Unnatural user interface, yeah. So what's interesting here is I've been looking on the Microsoft job site, always a fountain of information about what's coming from Microsoft, and found a couple of interesting job postings about things that they're working on for the future. We don't know how far away in the future, but one of these is from Bing, and Bing is going to do well, first off, this is interesting. Bing has an augmented reality team. Who knew, right?
Yeah, that's the hot thing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, but Bing, that's kind of weird, right? They're going to build, or actually they're in the process of building a framework so that developers can build augmented reality apps using this Bing AR framework. And they're also building some Windows 8 tablet apps that are going to use augmented reality technologies. And we don't really know what this is going to look like or what form this will take because the job posting is somewhat vague, but still interesting that this is where they're going now and looking into how they can have voice-enabled apps on Windows 8 tablets and some kind of computer vision-enabled apps, as well as, the touch apps that we're already seeing come out now. The other one that was very interesting because it's kind of like a Minority Report type thing, is they're building a touch and a speech-enabled business intelligence tool. So instead of just calling up graphs through things like Power Power View or Power Pivot, you would be able to actually say, like, show me all the sales in North America that are below this threshold.
That would be great if it really worked. I mean, if it really,
I know.
if it were like Siri and understood. Why are we losing money? Why?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what they would be like. Well, show me who's the salesperson who's really causing us all the hell here.
I will show you the salesperson. Would you like me to put something into his car tonight? Or?
Siri, how do I make a bomb?
Yeah.
It's like the Eddie Murphy joke. Someone stole your battery. I said, we go get the guy.
Well, that's cool. Nui.
Yeah.
I like the idea. I don't know if I like I don't know how felicitous the acronym is.
Yeah. Microsoft's been using this acronym a lot more lately. And
speech is clearly a future interface that's very important. Touch is already here. Speech is next.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But, Microsoft, I think it was like a year ago, they were talking up how Windows 8 was going to have more speech technology built into it, and it never really seemed to have a whole lot more.
Right.
So it seems like this was something that kind of got pushed to a future version. What's interesting in the job post is they call out Windows 8 specifically. They don't say like Windows 9 or the future version. They say we're building speech-enabled apps for Windows 8 tablets, which also makes you kind of think the Windows 8 name may be sticking around for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, Paul says, let's actually do this today.
I made it in bold and highlighted it.
Because it's always in the notes, and I ignore it. So, here's your chance. If you have a question for Paul and Mary Jo, you want to talk about Windows, you got something on your mind that you'd like to ask them, this is your chance. If you're in the chat room, irc.twit.tv, obviously during the live show. If you're listening to a podcast, do not pull over the car and go to the chat room, because there's just a bunch of guys in there talking about anime. But if you're watching now, then you can ask a question. For instance, Web9791, not his real name, says, when is Project Austin coming out? Do you know about that? She's nodding silently.
We do know about Project Austin.
Yes.
Project Austin is something that the C++ team developed at Microsoft, and it was meant to showcase how you can build apps in C++ for Windows 8. And what it looks exactly like from these samples is the Microsoft Courier application, which was, that dual screen tablet they had that you could use a stylus to enter information on. And everybody wanted the Courier to come out, but then Microsoft killed it. Supposedly, now I think Paul and I have heard two different takes on this. I've heard there actually may be some of the Courier code that's being used by the C++ team in building Project Austin. When I asked Microsoft, is this going to be a Windows 8 app, and when is it going to come to the store, and how is it going to be available? They just said we have nothing more to share at this time. So I don't know where and when or how, or even if it's going to come to Windows 8, but the C++ team is building something in C++ that looks a lot like Courier, and that's what Austin is.
From Web9097. Paul and Mary, how do you feel about Leo always saying Windows 8 phone?
I don't have a problem with it.
Hey, even Microsoft says it that way sometimes.
My friend.
No kidding.
That's not the big problem, right?
Actually,
I think
there's a good argument to be made. They should have just called it that. That would have been a fine name.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the other. There's an 8 in there somewhere and a phone in there. What more do you want?
Close enough.
Dwayne Knight asks, what beer is appropriate to leave with cookies?
Wow.
Nice. Oh, wow. There's so many good.
A nice wheat beer would
I would
be
go
good.
with Fezziwig's Ale from Samuel Adams.
Any news on an 8-inch tablet for Windows 8, asks Digerati. 8-inch Windows 8.
Nope. And I asked Microsoft if they could envision any kind of a smaller tablet from them, a Surface that would be smaller than the 10-inch size that they have now. And they said, why would anybody want a PC with a screen under 10 inches? So they called it a PC, too, when they answered me.
Fantastic. Yep.
But they said they definitely were saying no. And, I don't know whether to believe them or whether they were just trying to throw people off the scent. But they definitely made it seem they did not see a good reason to build something like a Surface Mini.
You know, when you consider that the vast majority of the apps in the App Store, let me rephrase that. The vast majority of the decent apps in the App Store are probably entertainment related, media consumption apps and so forth. Why wouldn't someone want a PC that was 8 inches that they could take on a plane and watch movies on, or play games? To me, that's an ideal size. I don't understand.
iPad Mini. It's just right.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why they would think that.
Do you know about the Kickstarter project? There's a VLC Kickstarter for Windows 8 RT and iPhone. Or I'm sorry,
I can't believe how much attention this gets.
So apparently Microsoft supports this. Is that correct?
VLC is by the way, the video player I do use.
It's a great video player. I recommend it on Macs as well. Everybody should own it. They're trying to raise £40,000. They got 15 days to go. They're about halfway there. And it would be a VLC in Metro, right? Or no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
A big question about this, though, is the fact that it's under the GPL open source license.
Oh, they probably can't.
People have been asking, can you have a GPL application for sale in the Windows Store? When I wrote about this about a year ago, and at that point, Microsoft had left a loophole in the rules for the store, allowing, I think it's GPL 2 or 3, but not one or the other of those two, that those kind of applications could be in the store, but not the other. And now I'm forgetting because it's been about a year since I wrote about this. But people are asking, can they actually put that in the store, given you're supposed to distribute back the source code? And wouldn't that obligation of the GPL make it so that you couldn't have this app in the store? So that'll be an interesting one to see go forward if this thing does take off.
Yeah.
Someone's going to make I guess Bing got the Santa NORAD tracker thing this year away from Google.
You're kidding.
So somebody just tweeted this to me.
That's huge.
Someone needs to make a goof video about Santa using Apple Maps instead by mistake.
He's in Australia now.
This is a YouTube video waiting to happen.
Begging to be done.
Yep.
I don't know where I am.
It's just like in front of these confused kids of some different religion looking at this guy and saying, who are you again?
Are you guys Muslims? Yeah, that'll be that'll
exactly.
Go well.
Welcome to
exactly. That's a good way.
Welcome to Baghdad. Wait, this is in Boston?
Can we get Zune Music back for Windows Phone 8?
Zune Music? What does that mean?
I don't know. Xbox Music is a downgrade, he feels.
I don't know.
What's your favorite Windows 8 hardware?
Mary Jo and I both have the same hardware, so I would imagine
for the phone, I know you like the HTC 8S.
Is that what you said, the phone, or you said Windows 8?
Well, I just said Windows 8, so it could be.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I gave you a choice, a broad choice. You could go tablet, you could go RT, you could go phone, you could go Pro, whatever.
I am, it's hard. Because of what I do for a living, the truth is I need a computer, like a work computer, and I don't think a lot of the current machines really match what I do. The one that probably comes the closest, which I don't have yet, is that touch-enabled version of the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon, which looks absolutely beautiful and I'm sure is beautiful.
But that's not.
But to me, it's like Ultrabook is the way to go for me personally. So I haven't yet found a
new pretty Ultrabook. That's
yeah.
All right, I think we've really mined this this load as deep as we're going to go here. They really I should say the most popular question, at least the one that got the most answers in the chat room, was which beer is served with cookies.
No, actually, Mary Jo never answered that. We should let Mary Jo answer that question.
I didn't. I was thinking of something more like a stout or a chocolate porter, maybe a milk stout or a chocolate porter.
See, I was going something lighter because I figured the cookie is going to really. You don't want to overpower the cookie,
Good point.
Then you get sick.
Yeah, you almost want to have Baileys on ice.
Oh, with good, nice mix. Wow. Yeah, I think that's pretty much Says it all. Sam Adams cream stout. That probably would be good with a cookie. Almost like milk.
There is a Sam Adams chocolate stout.
Right.
And there's a new Harpoon chocolate out as well that everybody says is great. I haven't tried it yet.
And that concludes This Week in Beer.
This week in beer week.
We do have a beer pick of the week, though. We're not gonna get you off that. It's kind of age appropriate. We also have our tips of the week, and our software pick, and an enterprise pick, and even a code name. A code name that's quite apropos because our show today is brought to you by ice.com. What are you laughing at, Paul? What are you getting your wife for the holidays? A tablet? A vacuum cleaner? What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, can I make a recommendation? The sweetest holiday moments come in small boxes from ice.com. Ice is actually a great place that we like to recommend. In fact, if you go to ice.com/windows, we've got a very good deal, 25% off. There are a few items excluded from this offer, but if you go to ice.com/windows, you'll see. We've got some beautiful examples of ice jewelry to show you. Let me just switch over to the I don't know how this works, this computer thing that we've got here. Oh, it's moving. Look at that. That's a beautiful. See, that's much nicer on her hand than on mine. Look at that. Beautiful. What is that? That is the cultured freshwater pearl and diamond with 10K white gold. Normally, get this, $195, $146 when you use our TWiT discount. So see, she would love that. That'd be a lovely gift for the woman in your life. Or how about a 1/4 carat diamond, 14K pink gold hoop earrings? Ignore Liz has quite a few earrings, but look at the ones at the bottom. Okay, those are $475, but with our holiday price, $356. The nice thing about ice.com is you can choose a price, choose a range, and then pick the item that you want, that your lady would like. And by the way, if you order by December 19th, guaranteed delivery in time for Christmas. So ice.com/windows, 25% off. We mention this because I know sometimes for us geeks, it's a little hard to find the right products. Well, I'll show you one more. How about this? It's a 10th carat black diamond rose gold over sterling silver heart pendant with chain. That's that cute. See, that shows you your love, and it's cheap, guys. You're really not all in on this one. $95 the normal price. The TWiT audience holiday price, $71. You could break up with her tomorrow, and you wouldn't feel bad. Ice.com. That's the geek. That's the geek message. Ice.com/windows to find out more and save 25% on almost everything at ice.com, including some of those beautiful pieces we just showed you, plus free guaranteed delivery by Christmas when you go there and order before the 19th. You got a few more days, guys, 6 days to order. I'm going to wear this one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Ice, for your support. Every year they come back because, they know that this is a holidays time to buy, and we want to help you buy something perfect.
Wait, so are you suggesting that there's a company that knows they should sell things during the Christmas selling season?
I don't know where they get that idea. We were going to do these Ice ads in January, and we thought maybe we should do them now.
They thought now would be better.
Easy to remember, ICE.com. Just because winter, skating, ice, that's where you get diamonds. Ice.com and other beautiful jewelry. They're having a studs event. That would be good for you right now, Paul.
I don't think it's that kind of stud.
Oh, it's not. You're right. Never mind. Time for our tip of the week, Mr. Paul Thurrott.
Sorry, I just was reminded of a joke. Anyway, okay. So
yeah, please don't tell her. No.
Tip of the week. Actually, I've left off the name of the person who told me this. I'm such a jerk. Anyway, so unfortunately, I don't have the guy's name, but Duke Nukem 3D Atomic Edition, which is available for
this
the PC.
This is not the crappy Duke Nukem.
No,
forever.
This is like the classic Duke Nukem.
This is the real Duke Nukem.
Yeah, you can get it for free now.
$0 at GOG.
Right.
Love it.
It's also Mac and PC. So
love it.
You can rinse the awful taste of Duke Nukem forever out of your mouth, and play a game on the PC.
Says all those words that we
by the way, this game is 35 megabytes.
Well, yeah. Look at the graphics.
No, but still, it's
still a
plays
great
pretty good.
game. No, this is why we were so anxious to see Duke Nukem Forever, because this was such a great game. It was the sense of humor, the style. It's a little adult. I wouldn't give this to the 8-year-old.
Sure.
But what fun. This is a great first-person shooter. And it's free.
Yeah.
At Good Old Games, GOG.
Yep.
Because this was roughly Quake era, right? Or Doom.
This was Doom? Right before Quake.
And Doom time.
This was essentially, I would say, Doom level technology plus sort of a pseudo 3D. So one of the innovations in this game is you could kind of go up and down, even though it wasn't truly 3D.
Right.
They called it Duke Nukem 3D.
Do you need, if you play it on Windows, are you playing in a DOS emulator, or are you actually playing it natively?
No. What GOG does is they take these games, they remove all the DRM, and they ensure that this stuff just works. So there's no weird, like, you're not running this in a VM or anything. Right. It just cool. Runs.
Oh, man. It does look a little like Doom with sex. Basically. There's Doom with strippers.
That might have literally been the tagline.
Imagine, if you will, Doom with strippers. Now you got it.
The first episode of this game, I probably played through 100 times, in the late 90s, whenever it came out. Yeah. It was just so amazing.
So this wasn't the later one that was there was a Duke Nukem that had better graphics. This is the original Duke Nukem from '96.
Well, so it's the third Duke Nukem. The first two Duke Nukems were side scrollers,
right?
Sort of like Commander Keen type games.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this one was the 3D, as the name implies. And then that was it until
really
Duke Nukem Forever.
Wow.
Yeah, about a year ago.
Wow. Come get some.
Yeah.
Our software pick of the week.
This one is from Jackson Holbrook. This is a cool idea. One of the big complaints about Windows Phone, of course, is that they don't have the apps that people want and so forth. And what this app will do is you can type in the name of a favorite app from a different platform like Pandora or Instagram, and it will give you a list of the alternative apps that are available on Windows Phone that are essentially clones of that app. So, for example, on Instagram, which I just put into here, there are 171 apps that match, that query.
Wow.
And obviously some are better than others. It has false positives and so forth. But it gives you a way to find apps.
Cool.
Before they're available. And obviously
and it shows you the false positives, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you really need.
Yep.
That's not it. It looks like it's it.
Don't get fooled.
Don't get fooled. We won't get fooled again. And it's free.
Yep.
App Detective.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Very cool. Thank you, Paul. Your work here is done.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
We turned to
Mary. Go have some chocolate stout and some cookies.
Yeah. Go get some. That's what he was talking about. Meanwhile, our enterprise pick of the week.
Yeah, it's actually more of a developer pick of the week this week. But my pick is Xamarin's new tool called Xamarin.Mac. So Xamarin is Miguel Diaz-Casa's company.
He's the guy who did Mono.
He did Mono, yep.
Yeah.
And they've been doing some new tools since then. And this latest one is really interesting because what it does is it lets you build native Mac OS X Cocoa apps using Microsoft C#, which is...
That's just wrong.
Yeah,
I know. A lot of people are like, what? Yeah.
How dare
but,
he?
There are a lot of people who are very conversant with C# who like it better than Objective-C. And they said, you know what? If there were a tool where I could use C# to build an app for Mac OS X, I would love that. And so Xamarin has delivered.
Well, I'll vouch for it because Bastion for the iPad was written in it. And that is a great, fast game.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And Miguel tweeted as he announced this, further proof that we love C# and .NET more than Microsoft does.
Wow.
So that was a little jab because, on Windows 8, Microsoft's trying to encourage developers to use HTML and JavaScript. You still can use C# and .NET, obviously, but Microsoft's preference is you use HTML and JavaScript. So Miguel's saying, hey, we're right there with you .NET developers. Yeah. We want to help you develop for other
Moonlight? Was he Moonlight too?
Moonlight, yeah.
Silverlight clone.
Silverlight on
for Linux.
Miguel's really made this his career.
Yep.
He has.
Which is great. Mono was the first. That was a .NET.
Yep.
Open source .NET.
Microsoft wanted to hire him desperately years ago.
He's a great guy, too. I love this. That's really neat.
Yep. So that could be turn out to be a very popular tool, even though it's not cheap. It's $1,000 for an enterprise license for this.
But you get an IDE, you get everything, right? It's everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. You know what? Good for him. He's got a business.
Yeah, he does.
It's a business. Yeah. Good. And I think there are a lot of people who would say C# is the best choice. Certainly better than C++. I don't know about better than Objective-C, but C#.
Yeah, Microsoft's trying to bring back C++ too, right?
No.
You're really playing that up too.
They need MFC for Windows 8. That's when you know they've jumped the shark.
Yeah.
MFC.net.
Well, that's not exactly an enterprise pick, but we'll let you off the hook because it's so good.
Okay.
Give us a code name, though.
Codename pick of the week has to do with our one of our ads on this week's Windows Week.
Ice,
yes.
Baby.
Yep. So the codename pick of the week dug back in the vault for this one. It's Diamond.
Ooh.
Let's see if Paul remembers Diamond. Do you, Paul?
Diamond.
Because
he's scratching his head.
You really like the product.
He's thinking.
Right. I don't remember that. I remember Freestyle.
Yep.
Diamond must have been like Black Diamond, like a skiing thing. I assume that's what that's from.
Oh, good guess. Good guess.
Tell him it's for Vista.
Vista has to do with Vista. Something that was part of Windows Vista. Nope.
Diamond.
Media Center for Windows Vista was named Diamond.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
I do not remember that.
Yep.
You know,
and
in
there
honor
was a previous...
of Minecraft, Microsoft should use, somebody's saying this in the chat room, and I agree, should use gem names from now on for their code names.
Yeah. They've had a few. Emerald was another one. Emerald was Media Center Roll-Up 2 for Windows XP. I think they have the Sapphire.
Yeah,
Remember
that sounds
Sapphire?
familiar. Okay.
Yep. So they've used gem names a few times.
Yep. Okay.
And we tried to get this show moved to yesterday for this, but I'm afraid we couldn't. So Mary Jo's beer pick is a day late, but not a dollar short.
No. Beer pick had to be this week. Stone 12-12-12 from Stone Brewing. You know, they have this thing called the Vertical Epic series. So every year since 2002, they've been brewing a beer that had the name like 222, 333.
11-11-11. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, Russell had some of this. They said they opened the 11-11-11 yesterday for him.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, nice. That was a nice tribute. Yep. Yeah. So they have done this, and they're Belgian. I think they're all Belgian ales, all different with different seasonings and flavorings, and they're all meant to be kept and opened in future dates. They're not necessarily meant to be drunk.
Right. So that's why you'd have the 11-11-11 today.
Right.
And then 12-12-12.
So this week, 12-12-12. And here in New York, there was a big thing where people could go to this one bar and everybody could drink the whole Vertical Epic series. So it's a big deal.
Does it start at 1?
I don't think there was a 1. I think there 2 was the first.
Wow. Now, just a little for my information. I thought you wanted to drink beer pretty fresh. You don't age beer like you do wine.
Some beers are meant to be they're meant to develop more character as the longer you keep them. Not every beer, but some. Yeah.
So a year wouldn't be on a beer like this, a Belgian style ale wouldn't be too long to wait.
No, it wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be bad. Even the 222 people who still are lucky enough to have bottles say it's very, very good.
Wow.
Very hard to find that one.
And do you cellar it in the same way you would a wine, in a kind of a coolish temperature on the side, out of the light, that kind of thing? Yeah.
I
guess you don't have to worry about corks, keeping
cooler,
the corks wet.
Cooler temp for sure.
But definitely cooler temp. Wrapped in $50 bills.
Yes.
Always.
Very good. That's stonebrew.com. Yep. I wonder where Russell was that he tried it. That's interesting. I'll have to look.
I thought Liz was saying Taps. Didn't she say?
Does Taps have it?
Oh,
all right. Your drinking buddy?
Yeah, my drinking buddy.
I'm so sad that you did not tell me you were in town and you went drinking. You went to all the beer spots.
Next time, no matter where you are, we're going to bring you out.
Yeah, just because it's my day off doesn't mean I wouldn't want to drink some beer. I know I drink beer during the days I'm working, but I can do it on the day off. Why not? Mary Jo Foley, besides being a beer expert, writes about Microsoft. Her blog is on ZDNet. It's all about Microsoft.com. And she works round the clock pretty much So there's always new stuff there. Paul Thurrott does the same thing at his site, the SuperSite for Windows, winsupersite.com. He's also the author of Windows Phone 8 Secrets. Did I say that right?
Actually, I don't really have a name for the book yet. Right now, I just call it Windows Phone Book.
Windows Phone Book.
I don't have time to think of the name, Leo. I'm busy writing a book.
And Windows 8 Secrets. I know that much.
Yes.
You can get that in the bookstores. And Windows 7 Secrets and Windows Phone 7 Secrets and all of that stuff. Hey, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mary Jo. Great to have you back. Every week we do this, but every week I go, wow, they came back.
Yeah. Really, they answered Skype.
They answered. They're not completely done. We will do one more show December 20th, a week.
Yeah, how's this going to work? Obviously, or maybe not obviously. Christmas is on a what day is
Tuesday.
Christmas?
But we're going to give you that week off because we're going to do a best of Windows Weekly. In fact, if people want to submit ideas for the best of, we have a page at twit.tv/best of, and you pick the show. Not all the shows are on there because not all shows are doing best ofs. i5 and others are not, but Windows Weekly is on that list, and so we'll edit up a best of with the highlights of the year 2012. But I do think we probably should do one in the first week of January.
Yeah, I'll bring the fondue.
Yeah, leftover from New Year's Day. Yeah.
Yeah, we should do a look ahead. We did that last year.
I think that's fun. I'd love to do that. All right, well, let's plan on that. So that's, I don't know, January something, 3rd, I think. Yeah.
Must be the 3rd,
January 3rd. We'll see you next week and then January 3rd. If you want to join us live, we do this show Thursdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC on twit.tv. And yes, we actually take questions from the chat room once every 6 months. No, when Paul says we must, I will
occasionally guilt him into it.
Yeah. So good chat room. Good on you. Good on you. And so please be in the chat room. But if you can't watch live, of course, after the fact is fine too. We have on-demand versions, audio and video available everywhere. Our website, twit.tv. Paul has links to it on his site, winsupersite.com, along with that other thing he does. And of course,
never going to hear the end of this.
Never. The Zune Marketplace. Once I get a.
I expect nothing less. It's okay. I'd be disappointed if it wasn't this way.
I just dig in. No, Andrew and I are longtime lovers, and it's okay. We don't mind sharing another guy. I can't believe I said that.
I'm just going to ease on out of here.
Yeah. Ease on down the road there. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly.